Hey guys, it's Matt with Olympus Reptiles, and today we're going to kind of talk a little bit about some feeding issues with ball pythons and what we see, what we think some of the causes are. And I know I'm going to get probably like a bunch of crap for this, and I ask Karen. So here we go. The first one I'm going to cover is what I hear called the 1,000-gram wall. And when I was getting into ball pythons and doing research, before I started getting a bunch of them, I only had a couple. One of the things I came across was this 1,000-gram wall. And the 1,000-gram wall that everybody was writing about and referring to dealt with females, and when they're getting close to that, between 800 and 1,200 grams, and then going off food for a while and being kind of a pain, and then they go back on food and everything's fine. And we here have experienced that with quite a few females. We got a few of them going through it right now, as a matter of fact. This is one. This little girl right here, she's kind of going through that. And this is a het clown female. She's in their 1,000-gram wall. I think she's a little under 1,000 grams. She hadn't really lost any weight. I do weigh her and track her. And I kind of wonder, well, why is that? Why does that happen? And I may be way off, but my theory on what's going on with this mythical 1,000-gram wall is I noticed that my snakes that were going to hit a 1,000-gram wall typically would do it the same time that my breeders would be going off of feed, my females. And so that's why sometimes they're at 800, sometimes they're 1,100, because we're not breeding at 1,100. That's not something that we do. We don't get in a big rush. I don't think getting in a big rush to breed's good. I usually wait till about 1,500. But anyway, so it was kind of like, well, what causes that? The only thing I can think of is, since that timing is all the same, is I think it's when they're kind of going into the mature stage. So a snake that hits that wall is kind of maturing, and she may would possibly be ready to breed, even though she's really not ready to breed. And what I mean by that is, I'll pick on humans. Humans biologically, we're talking here, can have children, some of them as young as 12. But it's not good for them. The chances of all kinds of bad things happening are a lot higher. Not to mention, if you cause it to happen, you're a sick, perverted piece of crap that should probably just go ahead and hang yourself. So no making 12-year-olds have babies. I want to make sure we're not promoting that, because that's disgusting. But what I mean by biologically is that's about the time some females are mature, are starting to, for lack of a better word, we'll say cycle, which means that they're, actually starting to become mature enough that they could become pregnant. I think that's what's happening here, is these females are starting to kind of hit their type of puberty, where their body is maturing and things are changing, so they kind of go through that same thing that your breeder females go through, where they're not going to really want to eat, then they'll go back on food and get over that wall. Now, again, I want to be clear, it's just my theory. That doesn't mean, get back in there, it's accurate, okay? That's just kind of what we've noticed. There are some things you can do about that 1,000-gram wall. One is try different prey items. If you've been trying rats and it's not working, maybe try mouse. Maybe try an African soft fur. One thing you don't want to do is go, oh man, my snake didn't eat. Holy crap, I'm going to wait 3 days and feed it again. Oh, it didn't eat. I'm going to wait 3 days and feed it again. And just constantly pester that snake with food. Don't do that. When I only had a few snakes and it was a little easier to track on that, if I had one that didn't want to eat, rather than try to feed every week, I'd actually slow down and give it some time to just be in its hide and hang out in its cage and calm, and maybe go to every other week until it started eating, and then go back to every week. Because you don't want to stress them. The more you screw with them, the more you could stress them. So that's one of the main feed issues we see, is the 1,000-gram wall. Another one is, people will say, oh, my snake's not eating, it's because it's breed season, and then I see people yell at them, it's not because it's breed season. And I will say a lot of times breed season can have an effect. Now, in order for your breed season to have an effect, I think, one, you actually have to be in breeding season. And I don't think it's the same for everybody. Here, where I live, and how I run my room, I have a set season. It starts at a certain time, kind of ends at a certain time. And that's the way it is. Now, I think that's because I'm in an area with a lot of climate swing. I also have a room that does have some windows that are going to allow some natural light. And I think it's that, along with air pressure changes just in the environment, that kind of cause that. I come up with that theory, again still theory, based on when my breeding season first starts. We start our breeding season fall. Typically Halloween. Halloween's kickoff day for me. But I may start October 15th or a little earlier. But when I do that, what I'll do is chase storms. So when we have a big storm and a big pressure front moving, that pressure change, I can go ahead and pair and I'll start getting locks a lot of times. So I think those pressure changes in the environment, which is something that I can't control in my room, cause that. So I do think that snakes can go off feed some for breeding season. I have males that do it every year. But if you just have a male snake, it may not be why he's off food. But when you have a male in close proximity to 25 females that are all putting off pheromones, okay, he may change his mind. That being said, not all my males go off feed. This guy does every year. He'll go off feed for breeding season. You can see he's perfectly fine. He's actually really big. This is a huge, huge, massive male. Now, once breeding season is over, he's done his job, he goes right back on feed. Right now, this guy is destroying food, but he spent probably, I think, close to 2 months not eating. I don't worry about it. I continue to offer. He may take a meal every now and then here and there. His body weight always stays good, and then he ends up going back to beast mode. So, depending on what you're doing, it may not be a huge issue if you missed meals. I want to clarify something though. That's not a license to go, oh, I have 1 or 2 snakes and they quit feeding. Matt at Olympus said that's fine, don't worry about it. If you're not breeding, you're not having those things cause it, you really do have to look at your husbandry if they're not feeding. You have to check, why are they not feeding? And sometimes it may be as simple as cleaning your cage and rearranging, making sure you have proper spaces in the hide. In rack systems, that's usually not as important, but I do have a few that prefer a hide, so we may give one a hide if it prefers it, but most don't seem to care in the rack. But it's finding the reason to provide for that snake what it really needs to make it feel comfortable to feed, because some of them are just more difficult than others. So you have to check your husbandry still. I'm not giving you a license to just say, my snake didn't eat, it's fine. But I do think there are environmental issues that cause snakes not to feed, and I have personally noticed the 1,000-gram wall. Kurt, do you have any questions?
If you do have a snake that hasn't ate and it's going on quite a while, you should start monitoring your weight. When do you get kind of worried if they start losing weight?
Right. I check my snake's weight fairly often. And then if I have one that's not eating, we start really document weight and watch a little closer. And for me, when I start getting worried is if I see, I'd say if I had to put a percentage on, it'd be about a 10% reduction in body weight. That starts to make me a little nervous. Then the overall body condition of how the snake looks. Great example would be this snake right here. This snake kind of looks like crap. She has a good reason to look like crap. This is a female, and you can kind of see she's got almost a little triangular look to her. She looks, and if we pick her up here, she'll look almost kind of hollowed out. Not too bad, as it could be in there. But overall, her body condition could certainly be better. Now, you're probably thinking, why are you showing that? Well, the reason hers is this way is because she just laid eggs. So that's why her body condition is the skin's all loosey-goosey, and she's got a little bit of looks way too skinny, because she hasn't had food in her, because she was full of eggs and just laid them. We're hoping to get her to take her first meal since then today. But that body condition would worry me, or heavy weight loss would begin to worry me. If I start seeing some of those things, that's when I start taking some measures of, by then I've usually already made sure my husbandry is correct, make sure the cage is good to go. But then I might start saying, okay, I'm going to offer a mouse, or I'm going to offer an ASF. And you may say, well, I have a big snake, it's not going to eat that. We have big snakes too. This is one. Ugh. She's another one that just laid recently. When it comes to knowing your animals, because animals are a little funny, some of them. And she's one that's a little funny too. She always, after she lays, will only take really small prey items for a while. If I try to give her big prey items, she won't eat them. Never has. If I go small, she'll take them right away and she'll eat 2 or 3 of them. And we have to work our way back up to large prey items. This is a snake that can eat a large rat, typically eats medium rats, and I have to feed it mice or ASF right now. Now I know she'll get back to business, but it just takes a while. So sometimes trying a different prey item will make a huge difference. And you can see she still looks a little thin, but she's doing a lot better. So a 10% loss in body weight, come on girlie, and would be a cue, or just an overall body appearance that looks skinny, triangular, hollowed out, those kind of things. This is kind of what I look for I get nervous. Any more questions?
No.
Alright guys, and one of these days we'll do a video on how to really take care of feeding issues on like young baby pythons. Maybe if we get one that's a non-starter this year for hatchling, we'll do a video on how we assist feed and those kind of things. But I honestly have never had to successfully assist feed an adult. Usually you can fix it by your husbandry, or it's going to be a seasonal thing. Alright guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you again.